Hi guys, welcome to Rubright Ball Reviews. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing more of a tournament review instead of a ball review. I'd like to do something more like this on a regular basis, just to give you, the potential buyer or just the regular bowling fiend, an overall perspective of my experience with bowling balls that I used and participated in a tournament with. So with that being said, I would expect to put out some content once or twice a weekend, maybe every other weekend, depending on what kind of tournaments there are and how frequent tournaments come about. However, we are pretty fortunate here in Pittsburgh, therefore there are quite a few tournaments on the weekends, and in fact over the summer there are quite a few Friday night tournaments over at Playmor here in Pittsburgh. So they run the Playmor Summer Sport Shot Series, I believe is what it's called. And what they do is they put a sport shot out every Friday night, and it draws quite a few people actually. Competitive crowd, and it's a good experience for everybody who just wants to learn how to bowl on sport shots, because obviously sport shot bowling is entirely different than bowling on your typical house shot. So last week, which was May 11th? May 11th was the first night of the Summer Sport Shot Series, and they put out the and I took a variety of bowling balls. I took 8, I believe. I took the Storm Rocket Ship, the Storm Codex, Storm Sonic, the Storm High Road Pearl, the IQ Tour Solid. Can't go anywhere without that ball. And I took the Storm Natural as my spare ball / potential urethane option. I also took, what else did I take? Either way, I took 8 balls, and my best look was honestly the Storm Codex. There was quite a bit of volume out there, more than I was honestly expecting. I hit my Codex with a fresh 2000 pad during practice, and that actually gave me the best look that I had all night. If I would have stayed behind the foul line, I probably would have bowled a lot better. And that brings up thing number 1, your footing. Your footing is extremely important when it comes to participating in any competitive environment, and that is what I failed to do best. Game 1, I ended up shooting 116 because of my footing. So that was quite embarrassing, and that 116 very easily could have been a 220. All the opportunities that I missed for scoring because I did not stay behind the foul line. Maybe 5 times I fouled because I couldn't keep my footing, and that is 100% user error. You know, so that it's a learning experience all the time in bowling, and that's the part that makes it so challenging but so fun, because it's never the same. If the approaches were always the same, that would be one less thing to think about all the time, but it's always a variable. I mean, there are times where you think you're 100% confident in yourself, and you go out to compete in a tournament, and it's the last thing that you expect that catches you off guard and completely messes up your night. So I rebounded from that 116 somehow. Well, let's break down game 1. So I threw the Codex in practice. I was attacking the pattern. Where was I? On the fresh, I was trying to go like 7, 8 to 5 as my break point. Keep just to stay a little further right, to try and use the gutter and the shape of the pattern to my advantage to get as much margin of error as possible. So because I was playing outside, I had to stay behind the ball, and I had to roll the ball more so, with probably 25 to 30 degrees of axis rotation, just to make sure that that ball was rolling more end over end and didn't change direction too much, because on the fresh, you want to control your angles, control the pocket, because the fresh patterns are like, when the oil is fresh, it's much more difficult to control your hook spot because it's much narrower. The break point isn't as defined as when you're bowling on burn or a house shot. When you're bowling on a house shot, you have at least four or five boards as a break point. So on a house shot, yeah. On a sport shot, your break point is, if you're lucky, 3 boards. So, and that's where matching up with the right ball in the right part of the lane, doing the right thing with your hand is so important. So, yeah, I started off game 1 around board 8, going down to board 5, and I had a good look. that's the sad part. I had a good look. I just couldn't stay behind the foul line, so that was a bummer. Yeah, I think in the 10th frame I fouled, and then I changed balls because I was out of pure frustration. I actually grabbed the IQ Tour Solid and threw it in the gutter because I was just so mentally fried. So I think I went through 6 different heel and sole combinations and nothing was right. And yeah, that was extremely embarrassing first game and just very frustrating. So mentally, I was just like, I'm going to go back to my original sole and heel combination, which was a 4 slide and a orange heel, the H1 Dexter soles and heels. And so I was just sliding a bit too much. So I said, I'm just going to slow down my overall momentum and my foot pace, because I wasn't fouling by much. It was like literally less than half an inch, but it takes a millimeter to foul, you know. So I obviously had to make an adjustment, and I came back the second game and made a good adjustment. I shot 224, I believe, the second game. Sorry, 223. So that was a much better adjustment. With my feet clearly stayed behind the foul line. So imagine if I would have stayed behind the foul line game 1. That'll haunt me every day. Every day. So stay behind the foul line. Yeah. Number 2. That was thing 1. That was footwork. Number 2 is Aberlon pads. This is going to go back to game 1. I originally started off throwing the Codex in practice with the out-of-box surface that it came out of the box with, which was 3000. And I mean, I had a few games on it, so I had some lane shine on it. So the ball was going a little bit too far. So then I hit it with some surface. So I had fresh surface, so I had fresh cover, everything I talked about a little bit earlier, to increase your margin of error. That's the ultimate goal. So I altered the surface of my bowling ball, which is extremely important in bowling. Never go to a tournament without surface pads. And that is the number 2 topic of this video today. You never want to leave or go to a tournament without surface pads, because your surface management is extremely important when it comes to lane play. Believe it or not, the surface of your bowling ball affects your ball motion by 70%. Your overall ball motion is affected by surface by 70%. Now the other 30% factor into your drilling, your grip, and your layout. So with that being said, never leave the house without Abralon pads, or having your local pro shop adjust your surfaces accordingly. So, game 2, 223, much better game. I was executing shots much better. I saw the lane a lot better, and I believe transition started kicking in, and I had to move a little bit more left. So instead of being around 8 at the arrows, I was board 8 at the arrows. That is, I was at, I was looking at 13, 14 at the arrows, getting my ball to about 7, 8 down lane. Had a little bit of hold, so that was nice, and I could freely get the ball to 6, maybe even 5, and still get my ball to recover. Now that's because of that surface that we talked about. If I didn't have that surface, that ball probably would not have picked up in that spot and rolled off it the correct way. It may have skid through the spot, it may have overread on the spot. It's just hard to say. So that's why surface plays such a big role in your ball motion. So I then, in the 10th frame, I tried a ball change, actually, I believe. So then the next game, I got to a weird pair. The left lane was hooking more, and the right lane was tighter, which is never a bad thing because of the ball return. But the left lane was hooking, it was hooking a lot more. It was hooking about 6 and 3 more, I believe. And on the left lane, I had to get around it, which I didn't figure out at first. So, of course, there were some ugly frames. And I shot 170 that game, which was horrible, but it was actually not too bad amongst the field. So transitions started kicking in, and I was in between like whether or not I should stay with the stronger ball and adjust to it, or if I should make a ball change to something that would give me a little bit of cleaner ball motion, shape, something that would be more beneficial than a ball that has surface on it that's going to read the first bit of friction. Alright, so we're back in the car now. I can finish up my review. Went to the gym, so sorry I'm a little sweaty. So, where were we? Game 3. So game 3 I shot 170 and proceeded to go through a little bit of transition, and I made a ball change to the Sonic, and well, it really wasn't the right ball, but it was just a little too clean, a little too over-under. I saw the friction, and it gave me the right shape, but if I missed in, it just ran hard. It just revved up too early, stored too much energy, and just never blended the transition that I was seeing. So I shot 170, obviously. Threw a couple splits there in the middle, and I couldn't match up, really. So then, game 4, I knew it was kind of like an all or nothing kind of game. I think at that point I was like 60 out of the cut. So like, even with a 116, I was still like in the run. I mean, if I put a good game together, like 260 or 250, I had a chance. But I knew I needed to put up a good game. So I think I put a little bit too much pressure on myself when it came to the last game, game 4, and I shot 168. I was going through, I think I went through two different balls. I went to the Sonic, which was an okay choice, but once again, it was just at over-under. So I needed something that was just a little cleaner, and something a little smoother off the spot. The Sonic was clean, but like, it snapped off the end. If I saw the friction, it just jackknifed. So I needed something a little bit smoother, which is the high road pearl for me. So I went to a pin down high road pearl with a small hole down, and that gave me a better look. It at least got through the fronts for me and was smoother off the spot. So overall, it was disappointing, but you'll have that with many tournaments, and as long as you take away a positive experience from the tournament. That's really all that matters. You just got to learn and prepare for whenever you experience that next tournament, so that whenever you run into the same scenario, you can execute and make better decisions. So yeah, but overall it was a good experience. I really enjoyed participating in Playmor's Summer Sport Shot Series. Week number 1, so there's 13 more weeks to go, so there's plenty of opportunity to come out on top, and I'm really looking forward to really just competing and being able to test the variety of equipment Storm and Rotogrip both have. So I'm really looking forward to it, and don't know really what else to say other than go to the gym, work out. Down 15 pounds in the last month and a half, so that's always good. Just got to keep pushing, getting better. There's always someone working harder, so if you're working just as hard, at least you're not falling behind. That's the metaphor, at least. So I'm going to wrap up this video here real quick, and I'm going to take you back to the trunk to show you what my arsenal was this past Friday. All right, so we took, as you can see, the Codex has that 2000 surface that we talked about. Phase 2, one of the balls that I did not mention, I did throw that at a couple fill shots. The Hypercell, I did not throw that at all. The Sonic that I was talking about, pin up, if it was pinned down and had a little bit more surface to it, it'd probably be good, and it probably would have worked a little better. And here's the High Road Pearl that I was talking about, pinned down below the bridge, small hole, about an inch down off the valve. And the IQ Tour, I definitely took this one in. Threw that a couple times, it was just a little too clean. And I took in a Tropical Heat that I have, and that rocket ship. So that's the arsenal this past Friday. So that's this last week's tournament review with Rubrite Ball Reviews. Until next time, guys, see ya. Thanks for tuning in to Rubrite Ball Reviews. If you have any questions, or if you're interested in any of this type of content, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment down below.